Okay, welcome everybody to the Lenox Board of Selectmen meeting, Wednesday, April 26th. It is now 6 o'clock. I have no immediate announcements from the chair, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of April 12th and 19th.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes from April 12th and April 19th meetings of the Lenox Select Board.
I'll second.
And I'll abstain from the 19th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I also abstained from the 19th. No, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, the 19th.
Yeah, 19th.
Okay.
The one you had at noon.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I was there from 1 at noon.
You're abstaining from the 12th.
Here.
Yeah, 12th,
I'm
okay.
abstaining from the 19th.
Okay.
That's why,
We got that straight?
We got that,
Yep.
it's crystal clear now, right?
All right.
Abstain.
Okay, citizens open forum. We have a large agenda tonight, so I gladly entertain Lenox residents tonight to speak to anything that they have any new information on. And the time frame will be 2 minutes. I'm going to time you. So if anybody's here to speak to citizens open forum, please feel free to come ahead.
Good evening, Courtney Gilardi, 980 East Street, Lenox and Pittsfield. I'd like to invite you to a forum. It was in the newspaper today in the What's Happening section. It's called Why Be Concerned About Wireless. It's from 7 to 8:30 tomorrow, and I can email you the link this evening. We'll be talking about some of the many towns and what they're doing for wireless, some of the best practices. And I also just wanted to ask, because I got a call yesterday asking, why is the select board voting on the macro cell and 5G small cell policy instead of it going to a vote at town meeting on Thursday by the people? And if people are asking me and confused, I figured I would ask you to help clarify.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's what we'll do. We'll take a look at it at a future meeting.
Okay, so I can let people know that right now the planning board doesn't have any information on passing the 5G small
You
cell.
gotta speak up, Courtney. I can't understand. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I just said, so right now I can pass on to information to people saying that the select board is going to take it up at a future meeting.
Sure.
It will not be for vote on Thursday.
Right.
That's true.
That's true.
Again, we're engaging in citizens' open forum, which is not an
But didn't
agenda
wanna do
item,
it.
but that is true.
Okay, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
clarification.
Kate McNulty Vaughn. I'm a member of the Town Planning Board, and we have been working on the personal wireless services bylaw. And just for a little bit of clarification, the zoning bylaw is what we are going to be voting on at the town meeting, a new section for the zoning bylaw to replace a section that's outdated and no longer complies with the FCC requirements. And the 5G is specifically the purview of the Board of Selectmen. You decide which wires, which cables, whatever, are carried in the public right-of-way in town. And you have the authority, the permit granting authority there. So what about 5G? The Select Board, not the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is the board that we look to for zoning permitting. So the Select Board is the permitting authority, regulating poles and antennas in the public right-of-way along the street. Regulations on these have been worked up by the planning board in the past when we were working on both of them at the same time, and we decided that it's too confusing to be talking about all of these things at the same time. Regulations are being updated, and we'll be assisting the Board of Selectmen in checking those over and making sure that we're covering everything we need to cover as far as what we're limited to do by the FCC. So we do want to say there is a connection between these two, this bylaw and the 5G right-of-way rules. But Lenox will be in a better position to either deny or choose to limit these only when we finally have adequate cell coverage, and we can show that to the FCC. So it's a two-pronged thing that goes
All
on
right,
here.
10
And that's
seconds.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Anybody else? Yes, please, come on up.
Hi, Amy Judd, 6 Main Street in Lenox. We of the citizens who have been, fighting about the bylaw and everything cannot for the life of us understand why the 5G part of it is not going to come to a town vote. Why would we be voting on one thing and have no vote whatsoever on the other one? We don't understand. So that's what I needed to say.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else done? All right, so we're gonna move along now to the consent agenda.
Okay, on the consent agenda this evening, we have Suzanne Pelton seeking permission to use the parkway between Housatonic Street and the Lenox Library on Saturday, June 3rd, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the Rhubarb Festival.
Can I put a hold on that?
Certainly. We also have Police Chief Steve O'Brien seeking the board's approval and permission to accept a monetary donation to the police department. And that's it.
So let's talk about your hold.
Yeah, the only thing I have on that is, it's unclear to me exactly where it's gonna be. Is it gonna be in Roach Reading Park, or is it gonna be in the parking lot or
I think
something?
it's gonna be in the Road Reading Park, but
It looks from the, from the way this was written, it looked like it was just gonna be in the greenway between Housatonic Street and the library, that patch of lawn.
Oh, yeah.
That is in front of the sidewalk, but between Main Street and the sidewalk. That's.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
That's the way it
okay,
read
gotcha, okay.
when I read it.
It just wasn't making sense to me, so,
Yeah.
okay.
you're looking for some alley, weren't you?
Well, it sounded
Well, it says
that.
who's a tonic in the library.
Yeah,
I think that's
Yeah.
typo.
So you mean Main Street in the library?
Correct.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
All right, that makes
Hus-
sense.
Housatonic, Main, in the library, but along that greenway along Main Street.
Well, anyway, I'm very happy to have them back in action, so that's good.
You like that rhubarb?
Well, I think it's a pretty cool little.
I think it's great. Okay,
All right,
So-
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, general business. You want to guide us through the public hearing?
Certainly. We're going to have a public hearing for Shots Cafe, seeking alteration of premises on their annual wine and malt restaurant license. So the Town of Lenox has a notice of public hearing to the Select Board. Notice is hereby given that a hearing will be held by the Select Board in their capacity as licensing board on an application for an alteration of a licensed premise to an annual wine and malt restaurant license which has been filed with the local licensing board by Shots Cafe Lenox, LLC, doing business as Shots Cafe. Liliana Ortega Tucker, manager, for the premises located at 27D Housatonic Street, Lenox, and consisting of an alteration to include outdoor service on their patio, offering 6 tables with a limit of 2 chairs per table. The existing license includes the main entrance in the front left of the cafe with an emergency exit route cleared straight back to the rear left of the cafe. The board will act on said application on Wednesday, April 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Select Board's meeting room, Town Hall Building, Lenox, Massachusetts. Dave Roach, Chair, Lenox Select Board.
Okay.
I would move to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Jeff Lynch, 68 Main Street here for the applicant. I have a couple of things, sort of housekeeping for the board and Chris. I guess we have the affidavit that we notified all of the abutters of the hearing. First, Mary Ellen had sent a question about property boundaries relative to sidewalk, so I have 2 copies of the plot plan of the property, just for the record, and I guess I can ask Mr. Ketchen if you can circulate those around. These were previously submitted as part of the outdoor dining application. There's the TIPS certification for the current employees. then finally, we have an alcohol control plan, which is one of the requirements under the town bylaw. And I believe that's that. Okay, great, everybody, thanks. And so, if it's okay to proceed, or should I wait for Mr. Ketch?
Sure, yeah, that's a great idea.
Proceed, go ahead.
I would just
Or
wait
wait,
for
okay.
Mr. Ketchum to return, and then we can proceed as follows. Thank you. And this is for you.
So, Jeff,
Yes, sir.
thanks for providing this information, but I'm not really clear in my mind how these tables out here,
So is
not giving me any distances or anything.
as part of the application, so we were here in July, or I was here in July on behalf of Shots Cafe. The board approved a outdoor dining permit.
Yes,
And with that outdoor dining permit, which I incorporated into the full application that's been submitted to the town, it had the plan that was approved with the location of the tables.
yes.
There's 2 tables on the side of Church Street with 4 tables in the front of the building. The distances right next to the building leave the 4-foot sidewalk unencumbered, and that's what was approved by this board back in July. The only thing that we're seeking right now is the ability to serve beer and wine at those tables during operating hours. So there's no change to the configuration, there's no change to what was approved in July, other than the type of service that can be provided. If any of you are familiar with Shots Cafe, it's not table service. All the patrons have to come in to order at the service counter, and that's part of our alcohol control plan, which is required by the town bylaw, that 1 drink per person when they come to the table. I think, again, everybody's familiar enough with that setting, only with 12 patrons out there. This will not be a bar. We're trying to accommodate customers as they come in on certain days and ask for a beer or a glass of wine to accompany their lunch or light supper if their hours are extended at all while they sit at the table. We do not foresee, and in the past, do not foresee this turning into a full-fledged restaurant or a bar setting where there's going to be patrons in addition to those that would be able to occupy the 12 seats that are permitted. We have insurance with the application that was provided. We have insurance that meets the requirements of $1 million per incident, $2 million in an aggregate, with the town of Lenox named as an additional insured party. All of the employees are tip certified. I know they were featured in the article about some difficulty in getting employees, but as they upstaff, each of those employees will also be tip certified, and we can supplement with those certifications. So we're asking for permission to modify the license, the alcohol license that they currently have, to allow the service at these seats.
So that's what I think I'm trying to hone in on, is what is the actual alteration component of this? Because I remember the seating discussion,
Yep,
and we talked extensively about not getting out onto the sidewalk or
correct.
using the public benches and all those things. And certainly, because I drive by it so frequently, I see people sitting at their tables with beer or what have you. So the change is that the servers from inside can bring the beer out, as opposed to the person inside bringing it outside themselves?
I think the only change is that to the extent that you saw people outside with alcohol, they probably were not supposed to have alcohol outside at those tables. So the alteration is to allow alcohol service outside on those exterior tables.
Can I ask a question, or kind of a statement? We allowed a lot of things, the state allowed a lot of things during the pandemic.
Right.
And all of those things, a lot of it was serving liquor outside, a lot of it was, we kind of let things go. That ended April 1st, 2023.
Yes.
Now, is this, and you can't, my question is, where's the property line, number one,
Proper, yeah, okay.
okay?
Do you want me to answer that
Is-
first?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the property line is the building, essentially.
So this would
on
be
that
on public
plan,
property?
It's exclusively on land that belongs to the town of Lenox, yes.
So, from my understanding is, there's a ton of laws that go along with having, serving liquor on public property. There's gotta be barriers, there's gotta be a whole bunch of things. And we talked about this because we knew this relief for people was gonna end sometime.
Right.
And we didn't want it to turn into a big problem all around town, where if one person is serving liquor on the sidewalk, 9 others want to do it at the same time. There's a lot of rules that go along with it, from what I understand anyway. I mean, you probably understand it much better than I do. But I've been reading correspondence we had as recently as 2 weeks ago, stating that we just can't allow it. Or I'd like some clarification if we can allow it, that's what I'm saying.
So it's my understanding from what the town passed during the pandemic, and it hasn't been revised, is that we have to hit a couple of marks, which I believe that we hit relative to the town licensing. One is we have to leave the 4-foot area for the sidewalk. We have to have the insurance. We have to have an alcohol control plan, which I submitted at least a draft. It's subject to your approval and additions or comments to it. And all of the employees have to be tip certified. So we've met what is currently on the books for the town of Lenox. In terms of the ABCC, yes, the area is supposed to be or has to be marked for, and it's specified, suitable to maintain control of the area and provide a safe environment. So the patio area that is at Shops right now is pretty easily defined. On Church Street side, there's a landscaped area, pea stone, and the 2 tables that loops around to that front patio area before you get to the brick paving. We are certainly amenable to creating additional fencing, rope lines, things like that the board may feel that would additionally help control and make suitable and provide a safe environment for the patrons. We think with the small size and the confined area, that it could be easily supervised by management. It's clearly marked on where service is allowed, and because we're only talking about a maximum of 12 patrons, it's not an area that could present a hazard or safety, we feel, for the general public. The other areas with the ABCC is that if it's contiguous to the building itself, it's much easier on the regulatory framework. So we are contiguous to the building. In addition to that, all of the tables could be seen from either the interior or directly walking outside the door. There's actually a window on the Church Street side, and so they can actually peer out and look at the 4 patrons that may be sitting there. So in my review of what the ABCC requires, we've met, and we can do the additional provision if this board feels it's necessary to create some kind of additional separation between the patrons and the sidewalk. But I think this sort of harkens back to our past conversations on this issue about sort of the limited areas that we're working with on that. I do have a larger plan. I don't have multiple copies.
Well, Jeff, I feel for them as far as the limited area they have to work with. What I don't want to see is us opening up a can of worms, allowing it here, and then all of a sudden somebody else is going to want it. I mean, if it can be done, more power to them. But I think we should really somehow maybe continue the hearing or whatever and look into it with everybody that needs to be looked into and say, can we do this? And what kind of barriers and that type of thing is it going to be? It can't just be a rope. You know, it can't just be looking out the window. It's got to be a little more than that, I believe. But I'd like to know for certain before we, before we approve this.
Was this in our packet and I just didn't print it?
No, that was-
I was gonna say, because that's what I've been.
So a couple of other things come to mind. I mean, the provision in our bylaws for use of town property, for alcohol consumption is at the discretion of the board on a renewing basis every year for a time period not to exceed 6 months in any instance. This would be contemplated as a permanent licensing change, correct?
Under the way that the ABCC works, in order to change where you want to be able to serve alcohol, we have to go through this process. If the town laws, I would think that they supplement, so that if the town only allows this on an annual basis, the ABCC can't create a permanent license. It would create a hardship, I think, for everybody that would be similar in situation to Shots to be coming back annually to see whether they can, utilize their investment in the space that they've invested in the previous year for the next coming year. So I would sort of counsel against trying to create a continually renewable situation for restaurant
I
owners.
understand, but that is what we have.
It is, and nothing's been updated. I'm citing
I
to the most
understand.
current, the most current law that's on the
Can I-
books for Lennox.
Yeah.
One more comment, then I'll go ahead.
So I want to be open-minded and supportive of local business, for sure. But there's quite a few issues that come to mind to me, which is equity, I don't know off the top of my head, Chris, I mean, do we have other establishments serving, under a quasi-licensed capacity as opposed to applying for a one-day license, alcohol on town-owned property? In other words, one business is serving alcohol at their front patio and it's owned by them.
At the risk of being wrong through some nuance, I don't think that's the case.
So I'm just raising, without stating any conclusive decision here,
Well, I think that's the
the
problem.
issue of the precedent of, this other business invested in their own space, built it out such that it had their own self-owned property to serve on, and now we're giving a different business the ability to essentially take town property and make it their sort of permanent serving area, which is, I'm just worried about the precedent of that and the fairness to the other businesses. I mean, call me crazy, could we sell some of the sidewalk to the owner so that it becomes their property,
I'm again,
These are just big questions, I'm not asking
well,
for
right,
answers.
but again, at the risk of overlooking some nuance, I almost feel that is what you would have to do, which we are not authorized to do. It's kind of a paradox.
So let me jump in and say that Jeff's a good attorney, but he's not representing us, he's representing the folks from Shots. I think I'd like to pass this on and see what our options are with our own attorney and what they think the requirements might be. I hate to put you off, but I want to get this done, because I'm business friendly too. I want to get this done before Memorial Day for sure. So, the questions being the annual versus the liquor license which you brought out, Jeff. The questions being the barriers that Ed brought out between the town property and the place, what would suffice. So maybe we could get some good answers in here, and then we can make an intelligent, informed decision.
So if that's the inclination.
Well, I'm just pointing it out, I'm just
I
asking.
agree with you. I think we just need to look into it deeper.
If that's the inclination of the board, I would recommend that you move to continue the public hearing to Wednesday, May 10th.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that way we don't have to post it again.
I don't want to ultimately find out that we're in violation. Shouldn't take
No,
long.
as I stated, I feel very open-minded, wanting to be supportive, but I feel like I don't
Me too.
know some of the policy things that we're maybe establishing precedent on. So with your permission, I'd move to continue the public hearing until 10th.
Wednesday, May 10th.
If I could just make sure that I'm clear, make sure that the board understands where we are, and so I can advise my client. We have an outdoor dining permit for this space.
Yes.
And that was granted, and we're fine. The only change is the type of beverage that can be served.
Right, exactly.
So we're clear.
Yeah, they can continue business as
Okay.
usual.
Yeah, absolutely. What you got, you keep. What you're gonna add, we'll have to do a little research in.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
Great, so I would move to continue this public hearing to Wednesday, May 10th.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay. On to public hearing number 2. The Town of Lenox, notice of public hearing, Select Board. Notice is hereby given that a hearing will be held by the Lenox Select Board in their capacity as licensing board on an application for an annual all-alcohol restaurant license which has been filed with the local licensing board by Cello, LLC, doing business as Cello. Raymond Stalker, manager for premises located at 35 Church Street, Suite Number 2, also known as 37 Church Street, Lenox, and consisting of a single-floor restaurant comprised of one room on the first floor of the premises. The board will act on said application on Wednesday, April 26, 2023, at 6 p.m. in the Select Board's meeting room, Town Hall Building, Lenox, Mass. Dave Roach, Chair, Lenox Select Board. I move to open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, everyone. Bill Martin on behalf of Cello. Martin offices 36 Cliffwood Street, which I'm happy to say. My clients, Robert Freed and Karen Kaugas, were really fans of Noodle. And when it closed, I think they were very excited to have the opportunity to actually take it on as their own passionate project to open up their own restaurant, which they've named Cello. They've hired Ray Stalker, who will be the bar manager and who will really run the operational part of the restaurant. Robert and Karen are West Stockbridge residents. They've been in the area quite a while. Really a big fan of the restaurant, and I think that their passion is going to be to keep it its sort of small, intimate restaurant that it is. And thankfully, we're inside. I do have an affidavit of the notices with the original green cards. I think Mary Ellen's got a scan of that, but those are the original green cards. And I'm hopeful that the application was complete. I think we went back and forth a couple of times with a couple of missing items. Ray can speak to his experience. He is tip certified and obviously very experienced in the restaurant business. Robert and Karen, I think, they are the managers of the LLC, the owners of the LLC, but plan on being very engaged in the restaurant as well. So if you have any questions of me or for Ray or Robert or Karen, we'd be glad to answer them.
Yeah, I don't see a problem at all. I'm just glad to see you open it up and,
You want to give your restaurant a plug?
yeah. Go for it. What kind of food?
My only plug is that I was the chef de cuisine there for, this isn't working. I was the chef de cuisine for 5 years. That's fine. Chef de cuisine for 5 years, sous chef for 2 years. It's going to be just like it was for the most part. It's going to be the best ingredients with creativity. That's my only plug. And a lot of hard work.
Excellent.
And a lot of hard work from these two as well so far.
And they've been inside scrubbing it
Yeah.
and reorganizing it and making it beautiful. So I think they're really looking forward to getting it open. in
Yeah,
the next
making sure we have
several
enough
weeks.
silverware and glasses.
I might have missed it, but when's the opening date?
The soft opening is Saturday. Our main opening is kind of in the air a little bit. It's somewhat dependent on this.
Once you all approve, as you know, sometimes at the ABCC, it can go quickly, it can go slowly.
Hopefully quickly, if you want to plug that.
Thankfully, I will say with Smitty's assistance, they tend to go more quickly than others, so. I think
We've noticed recently they've been coming through a lot.
Yeah, he's always been a great help when I've needed him, and I think in this instance, given the importance of the summer season in Lenox, I think it'll turn around fast.
Hopefully.
Well, Ray, I can tell you that I probably had several meals that had passed through your hands in one way or the other.
You've been in there,
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that space open up again, I know. It was a
Absolutely.
blow when it closed, and it will be a welcome.
Yeah, I left.
Addition.
I went to Lantern. And now I'm back.
Fantastic, fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have two things going on here. There's the ABCC application, and then, as a necessary precursor to that, there's the common vic and entertainment license as well. So you've got both motions for you.
Great.
Okay.
So we'll move to close this particular public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now I move to approve the application of Cello LLC for a new license for all alcoholic beverages at 35 Church Street dated March 29th, 2023.
Second?
Now, let's add that big license as well.
That's
That's
the
gonna
next
come.
thing.
Another one.
Okay, you second it?
I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right. Now, the next item on the
We got the
agenda.
next one.
Okay, so the next one is the common victulars and entertainment license for Cello. I move to approve the common victular and entertainment license application dated April 26, 2023 for Cello Restaurant located at 35 Church Street.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck,
Thank you.
folks. Thank you. Do great. Can't wait to be in your spot. Good. Awesome. It's one of my favorite spots.
First hearing in my office in Lenox is a precursor to hearing.
Of course. Good luck.
Just saying, Clarence. Yeah.
Whitney's terrific.
Thanks, Whitney.
When he opened Bravo, we were one of his first patrons there too, but he didn't sell. Thank you, guys.
Yes, I'm Karen Roberts. There's also my sister. Thank you.
Okay, now I guess we're going to the town meeting notice motions. The board should determine who will be reading the motions at the May 4th annual town meeting.
Wait.
Oh, we got
That's
that
what I have on my agenda, as being the next thing that's going to happen.
right there.
No, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm reading off of the general business. I apologize. I should flip my page over. Thank you. Now we're going to discuss response to open meeting law complaint concerning March 29th meeting and minutes.
Okay, so let's, this is very serious. I take this very seriously, and I'd like to refer it over to Chris to give us some guidance on this.
So you're in receipt of a form complaint regarding the minutes in the meeting of March 29th as being in violation of the Commonwealth's open meeting law. It's the staff's opinion that there is no violation here, and would seek the board's indulgence and would recommend that you delegate your response, as you're permitted to under the open meeting law, to the town manager, me, to inform the complainant as well as the Attorney General's office.
Yes? Yes? Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so then, if you would look into it and report back, and then we can have a discussion?
Well, it would be my inclination to respond on behalf of the board.
Okay.
Okay, so I move to delegate to the town manager the board's response to the open meeting law complaint filed on April 18th, 2023, concerning its March 29th, 2023 meeting and minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Point of information, Mr. Chair. Sonia
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Bykowski.
I'm not taking any questions or any comments on this item.
I am not aware of, my understanding of open meeting laws, you need to address this in an open forum. I'm not familiar with Mr. Ketchen and what he's saying about being able to do this on his own outside of a public
I'll take
meeting.
his advice on this.
Is that everything I have to say about it?
Can you cite this for me?
No. No.
Okay,
I've said everything that there is to be said about it.
okay, because my understanding is open
You-
meeting law
that
does
is
need to be.
incorrect. That is incorrect. I've said everything that needs to be said about it.
As I understand, you filed a complaint with the AG's office, and it's Chris's area, or it's within his bailiwick to work with the AG and/or interpret and/or work with counsel or do whatever
Provided that it is
he
it is
needs to
delegated
done,
to me, which is your right under the open meeting law,
which we just did.
which you just did.
So we're not having a discussion.
Circumvent public discussion of this?
We're having a public discussion right now, much to my chagrin.
Of the charge, of the complaint.
It is a public document, anyone can request it if they are so inclined.
Again, my question was in regard, my understanding of the process is that you actually need to discuss the complaint in your meeting, and I've
Okay,
never
that's not
heard
our-
the delegation part
Well,
here.
Be prepared to file another motion, because that's not our understanding of it, so I'm going to turn it over.
This is based on Mr. Ketchin telling you this, correct?
Yes, and we're
Okay.
going to back up Mr. Ketchin's, his analysis of this. and
Of the
his-
open
and-
meeting law and how the process
Yes,
proceeds.
yes.
Okay?
Okay, thank you. All right,
Okay, now we're going to review and determine presentation of annual town meeting motions.
okay, yes, we are. So what do we want to do with this? Is this the time where we assign these things, or what?
I
Yep.
think we have to. yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Is
think
there
we
anything
can
you
do
want to start us
5
off with on this,
5
Chris, or do you just want us to move right into it?
I'll do it.
Fire away.
Okay, so we've got the articles here, and usually what we do is we say, we delegate these out as to who wants to take what, all right? So, we'll start with Article 1, that's something I usually do, okay?
You get all the fun.
Yeah, and Article 2.
I'll do 2. And then we move on to 3, School Department. How are we gonna handle that
Wait,
this
the
year?
way does it, hold on.
I'm in the agenda, I'm in the packet.
That's exactly where I am. And I have Article 2 proceeding directly to,
Yeah, that's Dave as well,
That's me.
with all of the appropriation, numerical information.
He's gonna read all of them except the school department one.
I'm sorry, I'm just having a brain cramp right now. I understand how we normally do it. I was
Yeah.
just wondering why the free cash transfer precedes the discussion of the budget.
I can probably answer that. But we appropriate, we transfer from free cash as a revenue source. So everything else in there is an appropriation for departments to authorize their spending.
And you're also doing a free cash transfer?
And you do the free cash transfer as a source of funds to, basically to deaden the impact to the property tax.
Balance, yeah,
Yeah.
got it. All right, so they're sort of merged into one article.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're Article 3 on the school department. And we'll just, Bob Vaughn,
Is
or?
it Bob Vaughn?
Yeah,
Okay,
or whoever's going to present it. I assume Bob's going to do
I
it.
assume so.
Stepping down, but he might be still
Right.
gonna do this last one, I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, somebody in that
School
department's gonna
committee.
do it, yeah.
I move that the town vote a budget for the sewer department. Ed, do you want to do that one?
I usually do.
I didn't mean anything other than
Yeah,
that.
sure. Dump it
All
all
right.
in.
I'll do water then.
Do I? You want to do water?
Well, unless you wanna do water.
Well, we generally do water and sewer
Got
together.
it. Ed, stay on up there and do
All
water.
right.
alrighty.
You guys dumped all the water, building stuff, in permanent building to this.
I'm sorry, is that Ed or?
Ed and Ed.
Ed and Ed.
Ed and Ed. Do you feel,
We'll work it out that night.
yes, we usually do.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable with number 6?
What is it?
Towns and bridges, or
Yeah,
bridges
yeah.
and waterways?
You're pretty knowledgeable about that.
It's gonna be, do we know the number yet, Chris?
I think so.
I don't, actually. So, yeah, I don't know I mean, it's on the order of magnitude of 275, 285.
Yeah, I was just curious. I know it was
In
gonna be
that
down.
neighborhood, yeah.
It's a bit lower than it's been.
Yeah, so, I apologize, I'm not remembering it offhand, and
Do you want me to stay and do 7?
So,
Stay and do 7.
Ed, do you want to do the Article 7?
No, we're gonna let Neil do it.
Yeah.
Well, Neil's going to do 8 for sure.
No, I think that's, isn't it
Or-
CPA, isn't that, Tom?
Oh, Tony.
That'll be Tom.
Tony.
Or Tony.
No, well, I think
All right.
it's
Tom
Tom.
Delasco.
It's Tom.
Yeah.
Tom. Okay.
And he'll stay and do 9.
Yep.
So Neil, you're gonna do the capital? Or you want me to do it?
I'm on 6 and 7.
What do you want to do, Mary Beth?
I'll do 10, I'll do 10
All right,
and
Mary
11.
Beth wants to do 10. And who's going to, Article 9?
Who wants to do the ambulance? You should do the ambulance.
That's always yours. Dave.
That's 11, that's you, Dave.
11?
Yep.
Yeah, 10 and 11, are you? Or
10's Mary Beth.
10's
Ten's
Mary
Mary
Beth.
Beth, okay.
Yeah,
Article 12 will be the planning board.
yes, indeed.
Is someone from Historic going to talk about 13?
Berger is going to be presenting 13.
He's going to do 13?
But if I'm wrong about that.
HDC is going to do it, in other
Or
words.
someone from HTC, presumably.
Okay, now we can go, like, we have a bunch of baseball cards. Anybody want to trade? Anybody feel
I'm comfortable
uncomfortable with
doing
any particular
all,
thing? Are we all good?
Whatever's needed.
Yeah. And then 14 and 15 will be whoever made the motion.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Any questions, comments? Nope. Everybody happy with this? You good with this? All right.
Super. All right, then I would move that the board convene an executive session to discuss strategy with respect to negotiations with union personnel, namely the fire EMS union. Discussing this issue in public session may be detrimental to the town's negotiating strategy.
Roll call.
Roll call votes. Mary Beth Mitz, aye.
Dave Roach, aye.
Ed Lane, aye?
Neil Maximilian, aye.
And the chair should indicate,
We are not going to return to regular session.
Next meeting is May 10th.